Good morning,
Good afternoon.
good evening, wherever you are on our amazing planet filled with little details and big things. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia.
Welcome to being here.
Yes.
Today's theme, the little things.
Yes.
Ah, I love the little things. I've been noticing lots of little things lately, and they've been a source of joy. Yeah.
Well, you can only notice little things if you're here to see what's going on. But if you're lost in what you consider to be a problem,
Mhm.
or you think you haven't done enough and you need to do more and be more in your life, then you'll rush off to fight the windmills.
Mm. I noticed today how sometimes
Yeah.
there you go, you blow your nose.
Blow my
Good.
nose, yes.
I create problems when there aren't any.
How do you do that?
Well, we got a email
Uh-huh.
in the spring that said your Tesla lease is up at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
If you like, you can extend it for up to 6 months. I thought, oh, that's really great. But part of the protocol was that you couldn't
Extended.
until you were within 90 days of the lease end.
Uh-huh.
And of course, you had to make your payments on time, which is a no-brainer for us because we do it as an automatic withdrawal from our bank account. So I put it aside, but in my mind, I forgot the part about I couldn't do it until within 90 days. So I kept saying to myself, I got to take care of that. I got to take care of that. It was one of those repetitive thoughts that ate the moment. So my ability to see the little things disappeared
because you were busy with this big thing that didn't exist yet.
Right. And then I attended to it today. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And I realized I couldn't because
you weren't within the 90-day period.
Yes. And so I'm like, great, I'll just schedule it. And then I realized I had actually scheduled it also at the time I had received the email and just forgotten that I had done it. So I think it's funny how sometimes I complexify my life. It's just a design flaw or function or something in that thought process. So I just thought it was fun to see that. Calling one on myself. I don't know about you guys, but from time to time, the little things disappear when I get consumed with something that seems big, even if it's
off in the future.
Yes.
Or back in your past.
Correct.
Those are the things that pull us out of the moment. And that's where most of us live most of the time, out of the moment, in those thoughts about what you have to do, need to do, should do, ought to do.
The 3 principles of instantaneous transformation: what you resist persists, grow stronger, and dominates your life.
But before you do that,
going to talk about listening.
I want to talk about listening.
All right, go listen.
Because otherwise people won't listen to you.
All right.
See, listening is not just hearing what somebody says. It's actively engaging in receiving what they're saying from their point of view without passing it through what you already know. So if you do that, you will actually be there whilst they're communicating. And what that does is pull you into the current moment of your life. For what that's worth, it's everything, because that allows transformation to happen, not as a do, but as a product of being in the current moment.
Got it.
That's the truth from my point of view. Now, also in listening, if you truly listen to someone, you're not agreeing or disagreeing with what they're saying. You're actually hearing their point of view.
Does your mind ever skip off so that you're not hearing all the words and then you tune back in? If that happens for you, you can either make yourself wrong and then you just compound it,
or just notice it. Anyway, now the first principle of instantaneous transformation is anything you resist dominates your life.
Second principle, you can only be exactly as you are in any given moment. So third principle, anything you see without judging completes itself in an instant. So
See or feel.
yes, see, feel, notice, experience,
Right. Experience.
hear, like fully hear.
Yeah.
So I saw that I'd had this repetitive concern over something that was non-concerning and in fact was already handled. And I simply saw it, and it was actually quite wonderful. It unlocked for me a, a mechanism where I can keep myself busy. And it floated away. It was quite lovely.
Yeah.
Should we take our first guest?
Absolutely.
All right.
Zoe.
Welcome to being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
Calling in from New York City.
Nice.
And yeah, and as you were talking about creating problems that don't really exist, I thought that was so cool. And this morning, I'm an art teacher. And this morning I taught an art class at a program where I sometimes work, working with kids, like older teenagers and young adults who are on the autism spectrum, and teaching art classes to them. And it was very cool because I've been on vacation this summer, and this was my first teaching experience in a little while, prior to the school year starting.
Now, of course, for those of you who are listening, we will be airing this toward the end of October. She'll have some time teaching between now and then, but we are recording this before then. So that's why she's not back in school yet.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I made some pretty extensive plans, and I felt I felt my nerves, I felt some butterflies. And then I got there and I dropped the plans, and I just was with these, these kids and young adults, and what we ended up doing was so different from my plan. And it was awesome. And I also periodically had this concern of, is it okay that I'm going with the flow? Is it okay that I'm not, pressuring them to finish this activity, but looking to see what they really want to do? And the feedback that I got from the people who run the program was like, that was the best it's ever gone. You're so amazing. Can we have you back every week? So I just thought it was really cool reminder that, sometimes I create a problem that doesn't exist. And yeah, it was very sweet.
What is remarkable in what you said, Zoe, is that you didn't force yourself to stick with a plan that wouldn't work because the reception wasn't there for it, that they were into something else, and you could either get creative and pull their energy into being creative with whatever they were doing, or try to make your plan work. And with people on the autistic scale, they're great because they're not going along with your plans. You have to capture their imagination, like the little things. You have to capture their getting curious or interested, and then they engage. But otherwise, you're going to have a hard time getting them to engage. And it sounds as though you did just that.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you created a plan though, because you don't want to make it either, or I'll just go in and wing it. Having a plan gave you a launch pad, a stability to actually look and see if this was the course you wanted to take, and from there you could modify. And modify might be throw it away altogether, it might be take an element or two from it, or it might be implement it if that's what was appropriate. So You said something though a moment ago that I've heard you say before as a turn of phrase, and I've heard other people too. Like, I don't know, is it okay to just go with the flow? And somehow, I don't know why, but that phrase tends to have a somewhat negative connotation,
Irresponsibility.
or irresponsible, or airheady, or like, oh, I'm gonna go with the flow. Where I get what you mean. If you go with the flow of, you where these individuals' interests might lie, and you go forward with that, but somehow go with the flow. It sounds as if you're,
Not driving it.
or like you're not being kind to yourself. You're saying, oh, I just went with the flow. Like I gave up my willpower and they walked all over me. There was something about that.
I really get that because, when I said go with the flow, it was really, I was very active. I was like seeing this young man really loves trains. Let me set him up with a project about it was being responsive and following their lead, but I was active and proactive, and it wasn't go with the flow, whatever you want to do. So
Yes. I you didn't actually articulate that earlier, but I get it. It was a proactive looking, and I bet you didn't set everybody up for trains. You looked and saw what was appropriate for
For
the.
each individual.
so true. So true. And I love having this conversation as I gear up to set up my classroom and to get started with my regular teaching job, I'll call it. And yeah, sometimes I feel a pressure to like I'm already behind. I need to do more. And I've just discovered from working with you guys, learning with you guys, that when I show up and I'm just there, just things become apparent. Things don't take a lot of time. So it's really cool.
One other thing about you though, Zoe, it was something you said at the Living Made Easy we did last.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I actually mentioned it in last week's show, uh, which we recorded earlier today in our time. We talked about, different individuals and what they've been talking about at Living Made Easy. And I know you did not pass a driving test. And it was interesting last night because you said, I promised myself I wasn't going to talk about this. And then, of course, everybody was talking about, oh, this is what I did wrong on my test. I failed this with parallel parking. I hit the curb all the time, all the different their things. And as you're preparing for the school year, I realized that if you think only certain aspects of you have value, you're going to miss a whole lot of your potential, because there'll be kids afraid to take a test. And if you're like, yeah, I've experienced that sometimes myself, all it does is reveal to me what I need to practice more. But there's some part of you was wanting to put forward a good front rather than the full life of Zoe.
Yeah, that's so true. Like I have this idea that, especially, and this is maybe silly, but I'll just call it out on myself. Like prior to a Monday evening, I'll be like, what's a win I can share? And so I don't I categorize things as like good things to share, like a win or a success. And I don't always realize that, something that I consider a failure that was also a really inspiring thing for a lot of people, and for me in the end. It was very cool.
Well,
Yeah.
win, lose, success, failure, all those things are change. And
Yeah.
transformation, it's about allowing yourself to be how you are, and how you are is a gift, not the
And
good
how
things.
you are, you cannot change that. See, in this moment, you can only be exactly as you are, where you are, and your life circumstances can only be exactly what they are, period. It cannot be different than it is. And see, striving to get to a better place says that where you are is wrong. But you can't be wrong being where you are, because it's the only place in the universe that you could be in any moment. So you might as well enjoy being where you are.
That's so cool. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very, yeah. Thank
Thanks for
you.
being with us today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Hey, you want to hear about transformation?
Mhm.
We've got one of our listeners about to tell you about what's happened in their life out of listening to being here.
Here's Renat and Gwendolyn in Biesrach, Switzerland. What I so love about transformation is that the moment can show up how it is, and it's sometimes not how I planned, and I just can relax into this magnificent life.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy seminars are coming up this Saturday and then next Monday. So you are invited. They're really lovely dips into transformation.
But they're only a dip. You know, you only have 2 hours. You can only accomplish so much in discovering another reality, because other realities run deep, and you know, sometimes in a 2 hour session a lot happens and it goes deep, but the weekends are really where transformation fully expresses itself. And we're doing a weekend seminar. It's virtual on November 18th and 19th. It's called Reclaiming Your Sense of Wonder. And that is amazing, because see, young children have a sense of wonder. They see a butterfly and it's all consuming, or, you know, a dog or anything becomes all consuming. They become enamored with life. As we got older and got maybe to our teenage years, it was really uncool to be so taken by a butterfly.
Doggy.
Right.
Yes.
So we have trained ourselves to be cool rather than be alive. And
Reclaiming Your Sense of Wonder will be at Exploration. It's a Saturday and Sunday, the 18th and 19th. It's also bilingual. It will be German and English. It'll be
well, it's going to
translated in
be
real time.
English and German,
Yes, primarily
because we
English.
speak English,
Yes,
and the translator speaks German.
and primarily people speak up in English, but we want to make it comfortable for those people who are not
English speakers.
and comfortable in English to be able to communicate freely. And it sets up quite a lovely rhythm to the day. In January, to start off the new year, we're doing a course on the 6th and 7th, also weekend, also virtual.
It's called New Beginnings.
Mhm. And then Costa Rica 2024 is coming up. If you want to join us for that, and
There is space available, but you need to do a weekend seminar with us to make sure that we play well together.
That's right. So if you want to join us for any of those things, you are welcome to register at transformationmadeeasy.com. And if you want to receive our newsletter, either in English or in German, because we send it out both ways, You can also go and sign up for our newsletter there at transformationmadeeasy.com. Let's take our next guest.
Yes.
All right, Christine, welcome. Where are you zooming in from today?
Hi, Ariel. Hi, Shaya. I'm in Switzerland today and zooming in from here.
Welcome.
Yes. What can we do for you, dear?
Little things. So I thought about it since I knew the topic of this call, and I realized actually that in the past, let's say maybe half year, I had moments where I felt that I'm generally not so inspired by. I used to go lots or many times in the mountains, hiking or being in nature, and there was a time where I saw all these little things, and which was so beautiful. And thinking about the topic today, I realized, well, maybe I just sometimes I'm so much in my thoughts, in my head, thinking about this and that I don't see things. And
You said that really well, you know. That was
and
a very accurate description of the phenomena that you're in.
When you're in your thoughts,
yes,
You can be in the mountains, but you're not in the mountains.
you
You're in
don't
your
see
thoughts.
the little things.
Right.
yes. And it was amazing because I thought, what's wrong? Why, where's my creativity? Where's all these observations of the beauty? And with this topic, I was like, wow, it's maybe I'm just not in that moment and not listening to people or watching in the surrounding. And
You know, it's so easy to get sucked into the what's the word they use?
Forward moment, zeitgeist. The
Zeitgeist
forward momentum or the zeitgeist of
of
what's
the people you're around. Because look, most people are most of the time thinking about the past or the future.
yes,
They're very rarely in the current moment of their lives. So they engage you in the past and the future. Wasn't that a good movie we went to? You know? So you're not here, you're in that movie you went to.
yes.
Or what are you going to do for the holidays? You know, as though there's something better in the future to go to. So it's very easy to get pulled into that reality of more, better, and different. Somewhere in the future, things will be better. And in the past, oh, they were better, but now where they are sucks.
Mm.
You know, you've recently reconnected with our community. There was a period of time, you know, way pre-COVID where we saw you in person, and then our lives merged. And I suspect between the time when we saw you last and when you've started to connect with us, you've had what you may have considered some major disappointments.
You mean in the time between
When
Yeah,
we
when
saw
we, when we last saw you and when you reconnected with us.
Oh, yes.
and somewhere, I love your smile, it's very beautiful. I think you've want to be over that by now, like, oh, you know,
Well,
I'm over that.
See, you know, we built a conference center in Bali, Indonesia about 30 years ago, and then we left there because the water on the property was not good. People were getting sick, and so we abandoned it. Then I remember you're telling us you were going to Bali, Indonesia.
Exactly.
And I'm sure when you went to Bali, you thought it would be the thing that would enlighten you, that would have your life fly. And then after being there for a while, it became same old, because you brought you to Bali. And you bring you everywhere you go. So changing location doesn't usually shift people's reality sufficiently that it stays shifted. It's fine for a few days, and then the old way of being just shows back up.
Very true.
Very true. It is. And
Yeah.
it's a shame. But maybe, my dear, it's because you're hoping for something to save you when your saving is in you. when you have everything you need to be as magnificent as you are without changing anything about you. So you have the idea you need to change the way you are and to be a better you.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, and I have the experience of you as already magnificent.
It's just sometimes, and also talking about little things, I thought sometimes it's really the little things that where I feel I'm not aware enough, and where then things happen with other people where I thought like, oh, I should have told this and I should have taken care of this as well, and maybe have been more accurate, like this constant checking, should have done better, been more aware. And
Okay, good.
and then feeling quite bad about it very often.
Isn't that just a funny self-fulfilling prophecy? The more you talk to yourself about what you should have done, the less you are here now.
Yes.
And be different than you are right now. Oh, too late. Now went by. So could you possibly have been in another room than you are when I just said be different than you are?
No.
So in a certain respect, being unkind to yourself about something you forgot to say or didn't do, it's a little bit what I was talking about earlier. I forgot that I had taken care of things well in regards to the end of our lease for our car.
Mm-hmm.
And I can either, now that I've recognized that, I can be unkind to myself or go, look at that. And I think somehow when you go back and try to figure out how you should have done it differently, I'm not making a declaration in the future. I will never do that again.
But Christine, you've done that, you see. You have a conversation that you listen to, the voice in your head. It's kind of a dictator. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not kind. It's like a general. It's not like an advisor. It's more like you did it wrong and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get better.
Yeah.
Well, that voice isn't you. You listen to it as though it's you. So you get lost in trying to fix yourself and make things better when you don't need to. And there's an old expression, don't fix what isn't broken.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's nothing wrong that you need to fix. Now, when I say that, I know that voice in your head screams a little bit.
It sounds very easy.
Well, in fact, it is very easy.
Yeah.
You make it difficult by complexifying things. See, life is quite simple in a way, but you try to make the future turn out the way you think ought to, or you'd prefer it to. And so that manipulation causes consequences, and the consequences are never the ones you want.
Mm-hmm.
So you manipulate to try to get something, you get it, but it doesn't stay.
Yeah.
One of the amazing things in my relationship with Ariel is I don't try to manipulate her into telling me she loves me. And she tells me she loves me regularly, but I don't do something to try to get her to do it. Because if she did, then I would have made it happen and it wouldn't be authentic. At least in my thoughts, it wouldn't be authentic. So I don't try to get her to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I ask her to do things, but other than that, it's not like I'm trying to get her to stay with me. And so far, it's worked pretty good. 41 years, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not out of trying to manipulate her where she thinks she's less if she's not with me.
But it really starts in this example Shai is giving, it starts with himself. He's being very kind to himself. I know you teach yoga. I'd be really shocked if you had any yoga students left, if you spoke to them the way you speak to yourself in the
Oh, yeah. But it was funny today, like the class today, which I was teaching, was going completely different than I thought. And it was funny because of your conversation with Zoe before. And then there came this woman, and I knew she never did yoga. And I saw the name on the list, and I thought it was Eva. And then she came in, and I said, "Hi, Eva." And she was like, "Oh no, that's not my name." And it was another name with 3 letters. And I saw this little moment where I was like, okay, I can feel completely stupid because of telling her the wrong name, or just be okay with it. Okay, I messed it up, so what? And then it was just easy, and she was kind, and it was nice. And
Yeah, but what Ariel said is true. If you treated your students
yeah.
the way you talk to you in the privacy of your thoughts, you're not kind to you.
I mean, it was really awesome that you took the opportunity with this woman whose name you got incorrectly to drop, because that door was open where you could go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake," and then the rest of the class would have been about trying to make up for the mistake. That you stepped away from that and were there for her and for the rest of your students. It is definitely more challenging to do that when you're alone, but with practice it gets easy.
Like not to jump in these like unkind thought loop.
It's like yoga, you know, you the first time you go to yoga, you may not be able to do the poses, or if you do, you may not be able to hold the pose for very long because you haven't learned the structure, and you may not have the core muscles to sustain it, or the, you know, the strength. You build strength. That's why we do Living Made Easies and weekends. That's why we do send out blogs and this podcast, even, so that people have the opportunity to
strengthen their ability to be in the moment rather than get lost in their thoughts about a future that hasn't arrived or a past that's already gone by.
Yes. Yeah, and I can definitely tell, since I joined back into the like these 2-hour seminars and I was listening to a few podcasts, I felt like, it's becoming better.
Yes,
awesome.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely to see you again.
Yes, really.
Yes, same for me, seeing you again. And also before, it was nice when Judy gave the instruction, because I felt like, I'm going to be nervous and don't know what to talk about and all that. But I feel quite good with all of
That's great.
I love that, you know, because in a moment, actually I can do it now with you here. Look at Christine, or listen to Christine. She said she had the idea that she was going to be nervous, but the way this is set up, our producer, which happened today to be Judy, there are a number of volunteers who do it as their kind of give back to the community. Gave instructions on how this podcast is recorded and how we go about it in a way that Christine felt well in herself. And it's easy. And if you want to be a guest or submit a listener spotlight, that's what we call the little thing in the middle where people are talking about their experience of transformation. You can do that. You are welcome. We will take care of you. Just go to Transformation Made Easy /being here and find out how. It's been really great being with you here today, Christine. Really.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
A wonderful day. See you next week.
Thank you. And for everybody else, you may as well take that from Christine. Have a wonderful day. We'll be back next week. Next week's episode is having well-being in uncertain times. Ooh, timely.
Yes.
Love it.
Well, it's always been uncertain times.
Yes.
In any event,
we'll be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
being here.